Welcome to this chess endgame featuring waiting pawn moves. And in this position, it is white's turn to move. And here we see that the material is even, but white has the opposition placed one square away from the black king. And we will see how he will use waiting pawn moves to get into black's position and force a win. And so before I continue, see if you can guess what move white should play here or how he should continue this game. And if you would like to pause it, go ahead. And now I'll turn on the lines and the evaluation so you can see what the computer says in this position. And as you can see here, white is winning, and now we'll see how he goes about finishing this game. And so here, white plays h4. And so this move prevents the pawns on the king side over here from moving forward. So now if black would move forward with g5, we would just have capture, capture, and white would come out ahead with this passed pawn. And so next black moves a5, putting white in check. And another alternative would have been, instead of a5, h5 here. But then after king to a4, king to b7, king to a5, white would slowly move into black's position. And after this pawn move and the king moves, b5, capture, king captures, and now this pawn is in danger. And black did not want to go into that line, so instead, after h4, he checks the white king, and then white blocks this pawn. And so we have king to a6, and here white has to be careful, because if he were to play b4 immediately, we see the evaluation drops to equal. After this b4 move, we would have captures, captures, king to b6, and now black has the opposition. And so white, if he moves his pawn, black could move this, and black keeps the opposition here. And the game would just continue with the kings going back and forth, and no progress would be made. And so to prevent that, by moving this, by not moving this b4 pawn in one move, instead white, after king to a6, would have to play b3 first, and then force black to either move his pawn forward, and then white could move his pawn, and then the king would have to move, or the king could just move immediately, and then we have this b4 move. And so here, after captures, captures, now the king is forced to move, or once again the pawn move first, then a pawn move by white to g3, and then the king would have to move. So the game would continue with king to c6, and here, if instead we had this h5 move, g3, then this is how the game would have continued. White would have moved into black's position, forcing the king away, and eventually going after this pawn. And so to prevent that, or try to hold off longer, we have, after king takes b4, king move, and the game continues with the white king moving into black's position. And the king tries to hold the diagonal opposition, but white moves closer to this pawn. And now the king tries to protect the pawn, but we have white gaining the opposition. And then the king retreats. White moves in, attacking this pawn, which is still protected. And then after this pawn move, trying to buy time, white still has this waiting pawn move here. And now black will have to retreat from this pawn. And then after this, the game is pretty much over. It may continue like this. King captures. Black takes the opposition here, but now the white king can move over and attack these remaining pawns. And if black tries to stop him, then this passed pawn will push forward. And so now white can desert this passed pawn, and as black tries to stop this pawn, white will have time to capture these remaining pawns here and move his pawns forward for promotion. And capture, capture. And after the black king tries to move into this position to stop these passed pawns, white takes the opposition here and will control this queening square. And so here there's no way to stop this pawn from moving forward and promoting. And I hope you enjoyed this example of how you can use waiting moves with your pawns to position your king into a, position the king into opposition. So you can gain opposition by using these waiting pawn moves. And I hope you'll be able to use this example in similar games of your own. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and also feel free to leave comments or suggestions. Thank you, and have a great day.